Guys, we just got back from Richmond, Virginia at Lobby Day up at the Capitol building, and I want to tell you first off that was the most historical, incredible support of the Second Amendment that I've ever seen. So encouraging, so incredible. Many of you have seen the reports, and what I love is no matter if it's ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, whoever, Fox News, they've had to put a positive light on this event because it just went off so well. So for those of you who attended, thank you for being polite, being civil, but yet being determined. And that is one of the things that just was very evident, is that you had a lot of men, women from all races, all color, all creed, that were standing together for the Second Amendment. Now, one of the big things about it to me was the crowds would have even been larger, if possible, if there hadn't been a lot of threats that were being talked about from Northam and his cronies, which were scare tactics, but also just internet chatter about Antifa busing in 7 buses of, rebel rousers, threats of white supremacists, doing things there, or even leftist groups. But I'll tell you what, guys, it was a great event. And I hate that, some people just weren't willing to take a stand. I did have some concerns, but guys, honestly, I was ready to go and to stand, no matter what happened. Thankfully, things went great. One of the things that I heard is there were so many people, but as they left, the streets were clean. There was no problems with law enforcement. Law enforcement was great. There were over 700 to 800 police officers, state, local, city deputies that were there. And really, guys, that's what we wanted, because they're the ones that are protecting law and order. And they were very great. They had a large crowd, but their job really was mainly standing around, which was really good. We were carrying concealed. For us here in South Carolina, we have reciprocity, so it was fully legal to do that. Of course, in the Capitol building grounds, because Northam had declared a state of emergency, no firearms were allowed, but yet there were still around 6,000 people on the Capitol grounds. And you can see a lot of times in the video that there were a lot of areas that were empty, but that was mainly because it was just difficult to get in. We stayed about 6 miles out, and so we took an Uber in because a lot of the parking garages had been closed down. Even parking areas that were designated for the event were bottlenecked, and a lot of people just couldn't get out. In fact, from what I understand, there were a lot of people that never even made it to the rally because of just logistics. But when we got there on 10th Street, which we were heading over to 9th Street, where the VCDL said that's where the place to meet, 10th Street was packed. And we could see the Capitol building ahead, and there were so many people. It was crazy. They were shoulder to shoulder all the way up to the fence. And when we first got there, a lot of semi-trucks were driving around the Capitol building, blowing their horns in support of the Second Amendment with flags and with signage on their vehicles. It was a whole group of them. And then when we pulled up, it was just this loud chant of USA, USA. We went over to 9th Street because that's where we said we were going to be. And guys, there was a sea of people. It was so incredible to see. There were no gaps. I mean, you had to just kind of go shoulder to shoulder all the way through. And so we got up to Franklin Street, which is an intersection area. And we had a lot of guys that were going to meet us there, and I'd already stated that I would be there. But it was difficult for us to get there because so many people were stopping us and saying hello. And guys, I'm sure many of you were some of those people. And it was just very encouraging to see such a great crowd. We finally got to Franklin and 9th, and it was so packed we couldn't move. And we were getting text around to try to get some of the people that we were going to meet to come over and meet us. You can tell my voice is a little hoarse because we talked so much. There were so many people that came by that watched this channel, and it was just great. I just loved it. We did finally meet up with all of our guys, and of course Robbie Wheaton, who was with me, of course, he's 6'5", and so he's a pretty big guy. And then NC Hill, Rodney, was with me as well. But Mr. Guns and Gear came over, and we got to talk to him a little bit. I know Eric from Iraq Veteran was there. I never got to see him, just because we couldn't move from where we were. I've never seen such a polite, friendly crowd in one place with a common goal for the Second Amendment, and yet the determination that was in everyone's faces was evident. It was, again, a very encouraging moment for me to look and see these people that were taking a stand, in spite of all the threats of violence and the other things that were being, reported in the news. I think there was one arrest, and from the picture of this girl who wouldn't take off her mask after being repeatedly asked, she looked like she was probably not necessarily gun friendly. But there weren't any counter protests, or if there were, they were very small. There weren't really any racial white supremacist type groups that were evident there. There were a lot of Gadsden flags, there were a lot of American flags, there were a lot of AR-15 rifles and body armor and everything else. A lot of guys were kitted out, and it was pretty cool, actually. And seeing people walking down the streets of Richmond, Virginia, very peaceful, no even thought that it was threatening. It was just there, standing for the Second Amendment. And hopefully we've taken some of the moderates or some of those that were even willing to vote for some of these bills and given them pause to think about the people that are standing for the Second Amendment. And guys, after looking at a lot of the different newscasts from all the different main media sources, they seem to put a positive light on the whole event. And guys, it should be, because it was one of the most historic, positive Second Amendment events that I've ever been to, if not the most. I'll tell you what, guys, we've got to stand for our rights wherever they are. We've got to take a stand. We've got to get that determination to protect the Second Amendment. Because, guys, it is everything. If it falls, the rest falls. And so, guys, if you missed it, you missed it. It was incredible. It was one of those places that you really wanted to be. But guys, if you didn't, get on the phone. Get in touch with your congressmen, your senators. Let them know that the Second Amendment is not to be infringed in any way, because we have got to take a stand. There is nothing that could substitute what happened this past weekend and the encouragement that I feel. And so, guys, we need to take this, and we need to not forget, but we need to run with it. The VCDL, what they put together, was phenomenal. It's just a grassroots organization, and guys, I'm sure they're overwhelmed, but I'm looking forward to seeing what they do now in Virginia. And I think it sent a strong message to Northam that the Second Amendment is not to be trifled with, because we will stand and we will protect our God-given right for self-defense and to protect this great republic. So guys, today we're going to be doing a Facebook Live at 2 o'clock. Robbie, Wheaton, and I, we're going to talk about this whole event, get into a little more details, get some perspective from Robbie, take some questions and answers. You can go to the Facebook page. Even if you're not watching it live, we keep the video in the video section, and so you can check it out. Be strong, be of good courage. God bless America. Long live the Republic.